Today I'm going to introduce a few of our guest speakers. We have Laura Malec. Raise your hand, Laura. We have Lynn. Raise your hand, Lynn. Okay. We have Laura Cooper. Laura Cooper, thank you so much for coming. We have Hisela. I'm going to have Laura introduce herself first. Laura, tell us what market you're in, how long you've been in the business, and what you're seeing in your market.
Hello, I'm Laura, 9 years in the business, coming from the East Coast. I serve the Maryland area. I'm about an hour north of DC, so we do see what's going on in the DC area comes up to our area, and we are seeing an increase in inventory, which is so great. It's awesome to be able to show lots of houses. However, every house that is done correctly by the listing agent is getting multiple offers, and we're anywhere from 8 to 15 to 20 plus again. So that is the market that I'm in. I'm happy to be here.
I love it. So if you guys have any referrals, make sure you write these down and send these ladies referrals and anybody in this group referrals to their area. Perfect. Thank you so much for being here. Lynn, tell us what market you're in, how long in the business, and what you're seeing in your market.
Hi, my name is Lynn, but I go by Mona, so people can pronounce my name just correctly. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I start part-time since January of 2022 and work part-time real estate agent up to November of 2023. And since then, I'm full-time. Our markets over here is definitely is have, with different price points, you have seen like the traffic, whether it's busy or not. I would say under 400, especially under 350s, have multiple offers. But above that, some houses like just sits a little bit longer. We have a lot of more new construction home, but I'm having some clients right now still like struggle to find the one that they want. It could be they are a little bit more picky, but it's also there is more inventory, but sometimes the quality is not as match the client's requirement.
Love it. Love it. So I also hear you're a multi-million-dollar producer who's been in the business less than 2 years. You're a social media powerhouse, I hear, with the Vietnamese community. And you just broke some records in Nebraska this year, selling 5 new construction homes. And you also have your insurance license. So, man, you sound like a rock star. And you're with Tracy Brands, who's another rock star. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So Omaha, Nebraska. All right. So Laura Cooper.
Hey everybody. So I'm Laura Cooper and I'm in the greater Houston area. And I probably close 70 to 80 units a year. I just started a small team in the last year or so. And our market is it's kind of medium right now, I would say. I'm super busy. I think that's just to note for all the new realtors. Referral business is one of your key business strategies for staying busy even in slow markets. So I fully encourage you to figure out how to nurture your sphere and your closed clients. But so I'm really busy, but our market has gotten a little bit slower. I think the stats are we're about 4 months of inventory. They said it was the most inventory we've had since 2019. Our MLS just posted their April report. Our median price point here is probably right around 350. And our days on market, I think, is averaging almost right at 2 months right now. So definitely slower. Prices are under their peak from the COVID time when prices went up so crazy, but they're not that far under. But they are lower. So we have seen a slight price decrease here, and we've seen extended days on market and more inventory. And same, buyers' sentiment is just cautious, I think, and that's the issue. Our interest rates are, I think, the biggest factor here. Our pricing in Houston is pretty favorable, always has been a pretty steady market as far as price point goes. But I think these rates and the inflation issues are causing people to pause before they buy.
Okay. All right. So pause before they buy. Perfect. So the Houston area, and she's selling what, 70, 80 homes on her own, and she's just starting a team. So rock star. And by the way, Laura Cooper and Laura Malec are in my coaches leadership group and some of my really great friends. So love having you here. All right, Gisela. Gisela, tell us market you're in, how long you've been in the business, and what you're seeing in your market.
So I am on my 5th year in real estate. I'm in the Colorado Springs market in Colorado. Sometimes I branch out to Pueblo and also to areas of Denver. Our market here has been, what's the word everybody's saying right now is interesting, but we actually are in a very big military community and it is PCS season. So that really keeps our market and in high demand because people want to move here and buy a home. And so we are seeing the average price point be around 515 and anything below 400 to 450, like 450 has multiple offers, and we're still seeing appraisal gaps on some of those.
Oh, interesting. Appraisal gaps are coming back in this market. Okay, can you kind of explain? Some people don't know what an appraisal gap is.
So an appraisal gap is where the buyer agrees to pay over appraised value for the home.
Okay, good. All right.
Okay, so I want to chime in real quick though, because here I've seen some appraisal shortages and it's not for the same reason. I've actually started seeing appraisals come in under, so buyers are still willing to offer maybe what sellers are asking because our prices haven't dropped, but I've seen 3 short appraisals come in and buyers are not willing to come up to the not willing to pay what they went under contract for. They want the seller to come down.
Ah, this is so good. This is the whole point of this, right? Because, a lot of our clients, buyers, sellers, they're watching the news and then you hear the national news. But the whole point here is you have to know your market. Okay. The only way that you're going to know your market, one is if you're out there, right? Showing property, looking at or previewing property. You guys should also be making sure that weekly you are downloading the report on actives, pending, solds, expireds, and really studying that because the market can change like that. We were just talking about that. Some days, like right now, they have appraisal shortages in Houston. Next week, or maybe in 2 weeks, there could be appraisal gaps. So it's important that you know your market. Okay, good. So what I want to start with is how to get offers accepted in this market. When I say this market, remember that Laura's in a different market, Laura Malec and Lynn and Laura Cooper's in a different market. But if your market is not exactly the same market as the speakers, just remember it might shift on a dime and you need to know these strategies. So Laura Malec, talk to me about how you're getting offers accepted. You obviously, there's multiple offers. So now you're against a bunch of other people. Is inventory still pretty low over there?
It's low, but it's better than it has been. So
Okay.
buyers have a bit of a more of a choice. So there was 3 properties. They were like, oh, I like all 3. And we chose one. So that's new for us, that it's not just like this has to be the one. They have a choice, but then when they had the choice, they were going up against 12 other offers, but we won. So I'm excited to share.
All right. So talk to us about what that was like yesterday.
The buyer, it's all about prepping your buyer, and you have to remind your buyer that it's also a journey. We did make a previous offer against 9 other offers and did not win, but that also wasn't the house where they wanted to go all in. So I think reminding your buyers of the expectation that it's a journey and it depends on the house, getting all the details, and then it depends on how bad do they really want the house. I say if you're not making offers, you're not going to get the house. So for this one in particular, they had seen enough that they were like, let's go all in. And yet I wanted to protect them. So something that's very common in our market is we did go over asking because that's what we're seeing. And they were aware that they were going to do that. But we put an escalation clause in. So escalations definitely have their pros and cons. And in this case, it was definitely a pro for my buyers. An escalation is saying, hey, my offer price is, you know, $385, but we are actually willing to beat another offer if they're higher than ours by a certain amount of money. So this was a townhome, and so the price was $385. My buyers were willing to go up to $410, beat another offer by $2,000 is how that escalation worked. Why I liked the escalation is because it did show your poker hand. It shows, hey, I'm willing to go all the way up to 410. However, depending on the listing agent's skills, they do need to show me a proof of another offer to get my 2,000 over. I always warn the buyer, hey, they could come back and say, it's yours for 400 or for 410. We're not showing proof of another offer. Do you want it or not? That's a hardball list agent, but it gives the option to my buyer so that they don't lose. But in this case, they saved $17,000 because we accepted at $393. So that was huge for them. They really wanted to be under 400 and we saved it instead of going at our highest if possible. So an escalation can work. An escalation can hurt you as well. You really just kind of have to be talking to the other agent. The other two factors that I would say that stand out, because I'm sure a lot of the other agents can give, like there's a lot of tools, but I'm just going to do the two things that really stood out. Now, this one as a buyer's agent, you really need to figure out how you can advocate for your buyers on your behalf. So a skill that we really learned that my husband is also licensed with me is he got very, very knowledgeable in how to inspect houses, and he can kind of do a pre-inspection. So he does say we are not an inspector, you know, we're not liable. We do protect ourselves. But things that you can do is really educating your buyer about the house, is really understanding the big ticket items, what years, you know, they are, the roof, the HVAC, the water heater, you know, checking appliances, you know, running some plumbing, like really kind of inspecting the house versus just looking at the layout and square footage. Because he has that skill set, and if you don't have that skill set, you can talk to your inspectors, understand what a pre-inspection walk and talk could cost, but how it would benefit your buyers, because at the end of the day, our goal is to educate them to understand the house that they're buying and what's going to be needed to take care of in 1 year, you know, 5 years and 10 years. So my buyers waived their inspection. However, they didn't waive their education. We just did it before the offer, which worked really, really well. They know that it needs a new roof. They know that it has fresh carpet and fresh paint. We know that it has fresh appliances, and we know that there's 2 like plumbing leaks. So you do need to get permission from the listing agent. Please, you know, follow the guidelines of your broker, you know, full disclosure there. Please don't be an inspector yourself, but use this tool to say, how can I do this for my buyers? You know, how can I set myself apart so that we can waive it? So I'm super glad that we did that, but they were still not going into a house blind. And then the third thing that really that the agent told us was, because my husband took lead on this one, but high communication with the agent. Just as you are a real estate agent, staying top of mind is so important. Staying top of mind to that listing agent can help you win the deal. It's hard because some agents will talk a lot and some agents won't. And this one, she was completely ignoring my husband. He was like, I can't even get her up. Not ignoring. She was busy. We were not a priority. I mean that in a very nice way. But he would still do, hey, you know, this is what we're doing. We're going back. We really want the house. How many offers do you have? When are you presenting? I know you're busy. I'm just checking in. Hey, we're eager. Like, he would do all these touches to not bother the agent, but like, hi, remember me? And she said that because he was a local agent, which helps. So if you're local in your area, it's very helpful. We did choose to use a local lender. And then she was like, you were one of the top agents that stayed in high communication, even though the listing agent wasn't responding. And so that just is huge, because sometimes agents just throw an offer and then you're like, I don't want to bother the listing agent. I've done all I can. They'll either pick me or they won't. That's not the case. So make sure that you're just touching base, communicating. Don't do it annoying, but just do it enough that you're like, I'm here. So those are my top 3 that won that one.
I love that. So you have a question there. So when you initially put the offer in and you're talking about this top of mind communication, did you make a phone call first? Did you send a text like, hey, I'm sending an offer in?
Yeah.
Talk
Yes.
us about. what the
I always do a phone call to see if they'll answer, and then I meet the agent where they are. You know, I just want to communicate. So if you, I want to try you on the phone because I'm going to ask questions to see if you'll give me the answers. And then if they don't answer, then I send a text. Just what do we need to know? I usually say like, I let them know I've done my research. Hey, I saw in the MLS that you're requesting this. Is there anything else I need to know? You know, etc. But definitely trying to build a rapport. So I do a phone call. If the phone call doesn't work, then I do a text. If I feel like I need to send an email, I do. And then, yeah, the touches of we're writing an offer. I think there's advantages of seeing properties on Thursday and Friday and being one of the top 3 of getting your offer in first, which I held back cards on purpose. I knew where we were going, but I placed a really good offer on the table. And then 2 days later, we increased it to say, hey, we're really motivated, even though I knew we were going to give those 2 items anyways. It just gave me another touch and also showed I changed my offer. I really want this property.
I love that. And that brings me to a point, you know, dealing with agents is not always fun, right? Some real estate agents can be rude, dismissive, egotistical, all those things. But it is your job to be building interpersonal relationships with the other realtors, because when the offer comes in, if they know you're a pain in the ass because you put an offer in and you were negotiating, you know, aggressively, or you were a flake, those kinds of things, they're going to look at who the offer's coming from. And so I see a lot of real estate agents shooting themselves in the foot because they're like, I have to represent my buyer. Like, I got to get this house. But you have to remember, you have to work with the other agent because you guys all have the same goal in mind to get the deal closed. Okay, I love that. Okay, so lots of communication. I love the escalation clause. All right, so we're going to come back to you. So, Lynn, talk to us about how you're getting offers accepted, you know, in a market with low inventory, some of them with multiple offers. What are you doing, and what are some of the unique tactics?
So most of my, I'm still like more a buyer agent, which is I'm trying to be in more listing agent. However, what I'm learning from my experience is, yeah, I'm deal with so many like multiple offers. So I'm seeing like really clear, clean and clear offer is very important. I usually call the agents like, what is important for your seller? And then they would tell me like, oh, this person's want to move this day, and or like they just want clean offers, or they want like peaceful, or their kids their kid is like young, they just want it easy and smooth. That is important for them. So then I'll come back and talk to my client, and when we see the house, I would tell them, okay, what on the option that they can do for their home, if anything happen, analyze like whether the heater or HVAC, like, you know, have any problem, is it in their ability to fix it on their own. And another one I think is really like working with for me is you put in extra earning deposits, showing that seriously. So there's a situation that my client, they don't have more money anymore. Like that's after accumulate up to 10,000 and they cannot do anymore. I say, well, if you don't have more money, let's show them that you are very serious. So we put 10,000. So the house is just maybe the earnest deposit usually 1% here, and that one was like only maybe 5,000. We put 10,000. And I also do a offer summary, which is telling the agent exactly what is in there.
Yeah.
And then also, I usually just ask them to write a really short note to the seller, like just showing that we are very sincere. And by communication with the agent, I also want to tell them, hey, I'm a nice agent. You can trust me. You can work with me. So that has been like my strategies that I win in multiple situations. Even sometimes my client don't have so much of money. But you know, it's depend. Sometimes buyer cannot go more. And of course, other people will just win the offer.
So thank you so much. So basically what you're saying is if the buyer can't increase their price, you're going to increase their earnest money deposit to show the strength of the offer and the motivation. So you said a couple things, clean and clear offers. So there's a lot of agents that will go in, and if you don't know how to write an offer and you guys have not taken a contracts class with your board, I'm going to encourage you to do that immediately. We here at EXP, we have contracts, our local brokers go over the contracts and sections of the contracts, but take it upon yourself to take a contracts class and an advanced contracts class from your board, because then if an agent sees an offer that's really great, but you're missing things, that agent's basically saying, you know what, this person doesn't even know what they're doing. Now you can actually lose the house for your buyer. The other thing that you said was you call them and ask them what's important to their client. I love that. I think that it's important that when you call this is what I would do, is, hi, my name's Tanya, you know, hey, I'm calling on 123 Main Street. Just want to let you know, I'm getting ready to put in an offer. Just want you to look out for it. It's a strong offer. My client is like a 10 motivation. They actually have family that live in the area. They're putting whatever, $20,000 earnest money deposit. Is there anything else that I need to know before completing this offer? Okay. It's kind of like what Lynn's asking is like, what's important to you? There is a book called The 4 Laws of Agreement, and it's never assume. Never assume that the highest price is what they want, right? You have to do exactly what even Laura said. Ask them, if you can get on the phone with them, what's important to them. Is price important to them? Is timing important to them? What's important to them? And is there anything else that I need to add to this offer before I submit it? They're not always going to tell you. But some agents will tell you, they'll say, you know what, we just had an offer that was above asking, but you know, it was this kind of financing. Yet we're looking for this. So develop that relationship and ask questions. So I love that. So, and then the offer summary. Exactly what she's saying is when you send an offer over, a lot of times agents will send pieces. Here's the offer and here's the earnest money deposit, right? And here's the bank statements. Like do it all in one and then do a summary and make it easy for them, because when they're looking at multiple offers, they're going to look at the ones that are going to make their life easier if it makes sense. Okay, so Laura Cooper. So how are you getting offers accepted? And do you have anything to add to what I just said?
So all of that is awesome. And I've been doing the offer summary thing for years. And I've had so many agents tell me the way I put my offer together is the reason that one of the key reasons that my offer got chosen. So it's hands down. I mean, I've been getting that feedback for 5 years, y'all. So if you haven't figured out how to put together a professional and summarized, easy to consume email along with your offers, I highly recommend it.
And Laura,
So
would you guys, excuse me, pause real quick. Lynn, Laura Cooper, can you guys let us know or send us an example? Send me an example. Maybe I can send this to them so that they can have a template. That would be
so another like quick tech tip on that. So if you use Gmail and you don't know how to set up a Gmail email template, you need to do that, because every time I go to send an offer or my TC sends an offer, I have a Gmail template that I use. You're wasting your life if you don't have Gmail templates. So do that now. Google it. Google how to do it. So getting offers accepted here. I mean, it's interesting, even though I said our market's slow. I mean, I have had a couple instances. It's kind of the law of irony, right? That you see a house sitting on the market, and then when your buyer wants to put in an offer, there's another offer. And it's just so crazy, right? So I still do see some competition, especially in lower price points here. I think everything the ladies before me said are the keys. I think honestly, agents are we're kind of tired right now. We're stressed out and we're worried about the future. I think honestly, the biggest one is probably being a cool agent to work with and being collaborative. I would emphasize that over almost everything. I mean, yes, we impact and we influence what our clients put in their offer, but ultimately the contents of the offer are our clients doing, and it's their choices. But you being somebody who the other agent feels like is going to be collaborative and going to get to closing in this really stressful real estate environment we're in, I think that almost might be the number one tip for me. It works more often than not. So be nice. And actually, and conversely, so I had buyers that were inquiring about a listing 2 weeks ago, and they ended up not being interested in the property. I had another buyer come back to that property the other day, and I told the second buyer, we really don't want to work with that agent. She was one of the rudest, most impossible agents to deal with. And I said, so if you love the property, I'm going to power through this, and I'm going to do everything I can to put my smiling face on, and I'll take one for the team, and I'll be nice to her. But if you have any concerns or questions about this property that are making you second guess making an offer, I can tell you that anything we have that's difficult is going to be 10 times more difficult with this agent. So those are the conversations I'm having on the buyer side. So be nice, agents. That's probably my top advice for getting an offer accepted right now. Down here, it's not as competitive. So I think, making a strong offer with standard earnest money and all that stuff is right now we're doing kind of status quo. So it's like all the other things, because you're going to make a pretty normal offer here. So it's the good professional offer and being nice to deal with.
Yeah, my experience one time with an agent that it's just beyond my imagination of who is a realtor that not communicate when you call, and when you ask any questions, very like short, just answer you and then done. And if we ask anything, it's take like hours before he coming back, and his price is like not really good and anything like that. And I tell my buyer, so if he's already like this right now when he really need buyers and he already acting like this, and just imagine when you already under contract, and if you want to ask him or negotiate, if things happen, it will be very, very difficult. And I tell them that, and they see all of that. And so they're like, yeah, no matter how great the house, we don't want it anymore.
Yes, I love that. And you have to be really discerning with that, with who you're working with. Go ahead,
You do.
Laura.
And can I also say too, from a busy agent standpoint, I like what the other Laura said. I've been on both sides of this industry. I've been slower. I've been a new agent. And I happen to be blessed that I'm a busy agent right now. So the agents that are coming to me with offers and they're really short or rude, or they're like being kind of nasty about my somewhat delayed responses. I don't mean like I wait 3 days to answer them, y'all, but you do need to keep that in mind. So if you're dealing with an agent who's doesn't seem responsive, don't assume the worst in them. If you look them up and you can tell they're busy, I mean, I'm doing the best I can, right? And if you're not very nice, trying to, be demanding, there's a difference between checking in. Hey, what can I do to help? Is there anything about my offer I can, clarify for you? Like offering to help busy agents, they want that. But if they tell you that they're in the middle of X, Y, and Z, and you can, y'all would be surprised. I have agents that bother me every 45 minutes, and I'm just at the end of it, I'm like, I am not going to be able to deal with this for 30 days. So always remember that the other person is human, and it goes back to, again, how you treat them. And somebody made a comment, treat the other agent how you want to be treated. And I think that's just so true.
Yeah. And you could just say, hey, I know you're busy. I'm just following up to make sure you've seen this. Not like,
Yep.
where the hell you been?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
because you're gonna make them mad. All right, Gisela, what are you doing to get offers accepted? And are there any unique hacks that are working for you?
So Tanya, else has said already and has mentioned, and I'm doing almost all of those things. We are seeing a lot of escalation clauses in our market, and that does seem to work. But one of the biggest things, besides communication with the listing agent, is to also have your lender communicate with the listing agent. So I CC my lender on all of my, when I submit my offer, and I have her give them a call, typically before I've even submitted the offer, so that she can talk to them about what needs, how qualified the buyers are. I am big on making sure that whatever the seller needs, we try to meet and at least make it a win-win. I will send you over the email that I use, or one of the emails that I use, to get communication with to make sure that they understand I'm a communicative agent, and so that they see what their options are as far as that offer summary, on just without having to pull up the actual contract.
Okay, that would be helpful. And you just closed 8, didn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I had
okay.
8 in the month of May, and I have like 4 for June right now.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so basically she's saying make sure that your lender's communicating with them, either calling or texting, copy the lender. Okay, so my next question is, how do you guys get your buyers to commit to writing an offer in this market? I'm going to share something that I would always do is when I am showing people property, I would ask them on a scale from 1 to 10, how bad do you want this house, right? Before they actually write the offer. And one of the things that I would do is I would do the active pendings and solds. And I would literally, before they wrote the offer, I would sit down and show them, this is how many homes are on the market. There's not a lot that look like this, right? These are how many have sold, and this is the list price to sale price, which means that in this market, if it's 99% or 100%, you have to come in at asking or very close to asking if you want this property. And I would ask them, how bad do you want this home? And then I would suggest an offer price. And then from there, we start figuring out, if what they're going to offer and how to make the offer strong. But I'm going to go back to Laura. So this is the question. What tools are you using to help your buyers write a strong offer and to get them to understand that they need to come in strong?
How to get them to come in strong?
Yes.
I mean, I think that just comes from, you have to go on the buyer journey with them. I think some buyers get it quicker, and I think some buyers it takes a few. But like we see it every day and they don't. So I think when you have a little bit more compassion for your buyer and making sure that they're getting out there and seeing houses, like there's such a thing as like buyer fatigue of seeing too many houses. And it just helps them want to make a decision. So I was like, what day are we going out this week? Let's find houses to look at, because the no's bring you closer to a yes. So even if there were a few houses, like, you have to be careful balancing your time and things like that. But I wanted them to see more houses because it really narrows down the location, the layout, and the lot. So then you're just specifically looking for the right house. So that's what I do first. Let's really start narrowing it down so that then we know exactly what we're looking for. And I think just educating them about the market. So I feel like because of that pre-qual that I have, they understand that it's competitive. They understand, like they tried to wait till a Tuesday to see properties and all of them went under contract. We kind of have to let them learn that. Like I'll say things and some will listen right away and some will just need that one lesson. And now they're like, okay, I get it. We're going Thursday or Friday. I understand that if we want a house, we have to get it by Sunday or Monday. So educate and verbalize, but then also show them, maybe if they didn't look at houses, you could still show them the data. It's just really high communication. Hey, all these properties came on, all of them were under contract by, et cetera. I can't, tell you enough. We need to go look at properties on Thursday and Friday. So I think that's the process of getting them there, and then really knowing their motivation. is where you're going to protect your time. These buyers were all in. Like, her worst fear was not finding a house. And that like broke my heart. I was like, I'm determined to find you a house. So I knew they were highly, highly motivated. So if you do have buyers that seem less motivated, my quick hack for that, and then I'll let someone else talk, is I really go into their top 5 things that they're looking for a house. I really want to know those top 5 things that if the house doesn't have it, they don't want to see it. And this helps with motivation, because then I have their price point, and I have their top 5, and then I have their key location. So now when we're looking at houses, if we happen to look at 10 houses and they do not write an offer, I'm coming back to these 3 things to understand their motivation. I'm saying, hey, we found houses that had all 5 of these in your price point and in your location. What's holding us back from making an offer? Or if we haven't found it, there's something that needs to change. They either need to increase their price point because the top 5 things are not being found in that price point, or they have to be okay letting one of those go. And so that helps you to make sure that you're not just dragging buyers around for months and you're finding the truly motivated, is when you use that system and then bring them back to it, because otherwise you are just going to show house and show house and show house unless you have a tough conversation.
I love it. Work with the motivated. And I love what you said, show them. I always say show them, not tell them. And if you guys are dealing with buyers and you're not always in front of them, try to get them on a Zoom call so you can show them the data, exactly what she said, or go to coffee with them and say, look, you lost out on this offer, and this is probably why. So the next 5 houses that we see when you write the next offer, this is what we're going to need to do, because you said you wanted to be in that school district by September, right? Right. And if you weren't in that school district, your kids are going to basically stay in this school over here that they don't want to be in, or you might be driving 2 hours across town. You wouldn't want that, would you? No. I'm doing the whole Mike Ferry thing. So, all right, Lynn, real quickly, what are you doing to show them and to kind of get them off the fence as well?
For me, even before, like when they come talk to me, and if they don't even have their pre-approval letter, I already tell them, go ahead and look at the house on, Zillow, on anywhere, like, and see in like what kind of house that you like. And, I assume that you will able to get in this price point, and sometimes they know they're financially, but I just say, like, just go ahead and look multiple one, see what you like, and then you kind of know when what is the price that they sell, how long it's gonna sell, and then you already understand the market. And when later, when I send in you houses or the house that you want to see, you kind of already know the market, and you kind of already know the feeling, like if that's how is on like good price, or the house that you want for yourself or not. Also, like, yeah, narrow down like location, what is important for them now, so that way they just find in the like an area that they want to live, or the price that they want to have. So, and then after that, I think building the trust with your client, so that way they already see in you as a resource. When you tell them something that they really trust your words, and then they take it seriously. So that is like when I'm going to the house with them and I say, what do you think about this house? Is this good enough for you to write an offer? And then they will just tell me, we think about it, or we have a mixed feeling, this and this is this, what we don't like. Okay, then we keep, yeah. But yes.
So I think what I'm hearing is you're saying, if they're not ready to, if they don't have a pre-approval, you're not showing them property. You're saying, look around, figure out what you need. What do you like? What's the area? What's the price point? And then you're helping them discover what that is. And when they're ready, then you're going to give them your time. Am I right?
I want them to understand the market.
Yes.
So that way they will trust their adjustment, then I'm telling them what to do. So if they already have the experience that how long that house on the market and what is the price itself, then they already know by the time that when they see the house, then they don't already know, okay, this is the one that I gotta get right now.
And they gotta move fast.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. All right, let's go to Laura Cooper. What tools are you using to help them, know to get them to write a strong offer and to get them to move?
So, getting them to make a decision, kind of like, again, the other Laura said, but I kind of do like a rating as we go from one house to another. How did this house compare to the last? Go to the next house. Okay, how did this house compare to the one you liked before? You're kind of forcing a comparison. I think also doing the upfront research, asking them all the questions before you start showing houses is critical. I send I guess this kind of is not necessarily about making a decision. It's more like lowering my showings. I'm always trying to get to like 5 showings max per client before they pick a house. I kind of just have my own personal internal gauge where I kind of know like this is getting too much or I'm in my zone here. But I do recommend you keep track. I think it's a really fun experience. I did that one time and it sort of opened my eyes early in on my career. And so if you're new and you're showing buyers right now, keep track of how many showings it's taking you before you're having people make a decision, because that can just sort of be a reflection to yourself to give you a metric to kind of gauge yourself against. Because you are a big factor in them making a decision. I think agents are really scared to insert their opinions a lot of times, but people are looking to you for guidance. So be sure of yourself and know that one of the reasons we want to keep getting paid as much as we get paid is because we're a trusted advisor. So like, be an advisor, not a door opener. So doing the upfront research and asking them, sending questionnaires to them to really understand what they're looking for. And that way, if they send you a listing to go look at that doesn't fall in that criteria, you can actually stop them before you go to the house. Like, don't wait till you get there and be like, why are we here right now? This is a 2-story house and you only wanted 1 story. Don't be afraid to ask the question before you schedule the showing. And then the other thing I do is my assistant does it now, but every house that a buyer asks me to see, I download all of the details I can get off of the MLS. And I know everyone's MLS is a little bit different, but I make sure, and we have a flood map that we can download from our MLS, the tax information so they can see what the property taxes are, any disclosures. I send them all of that. And whenever I meet a buyer at the beginning of our relationship, I explain to them that this is part of my process. And one of the things I expect them to do is look through all of this information and rule houses out before we schedule showings. This actually helps lead to getting to offers faster, because then you're not wasting as much time. And again, you're ruling out some of I tell them you need to think about your deal breakers, right? So like if prior termites is a deal breaker, we have termites here a lot. Like, let's not even go look at those houses. And I show them where to look on the seller's disclosure report. So they're ruling those houses out before we even get there. And then my biggest tip is just ask for the offer, ask to make the offer. Like, again, I know it seems basic, but look at your client and say, okay, you really like this house. Are you ready for me to work on comps and come to you with pricing advice or offer advice? I can do that tomorrow morning. Do you think you're ready to make an offer on this house? It's kind of like ask for the deal. You just ask for the deal, y'all. Don't be scared.
And when you ask for the deal, you're going to need to know how to write the deal up. And that's why you need to know how to write a contract up, because a lot of these are written in your car, on the hood. Like it is, time is of the essence with these properties. So I love what you said is basically you have to be like rating the property. One of the things that we used to do is when you go show properties, I always had them give them a nickname. Every property had a nickname because they all blend together, right? You're like, what house was that? Oh, that was a stinky cat house. Okay, that was the hot pool guy house. Just kidding. That was the beautiful staircase, right? And then asking them, you know, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much did you like this house? That was a 5. Why did you rate it a 5? Or why is it a 9? And then you get to narrow that down. All right, Gisela, what are you doing to help them, you know, get the offers accepted? What kind of tools are you using to show them the data?
So I am a big fan of buyer consultations before we go out to see homes. And so I am huge on, we're going to talk about their must-haves and all of the things about what our market is like and how quickly they're going to need to make a decision if they want or are interested in a home. And I also do the thing where we nickname our houses. And so at the end of the day, after we've seen 4 or 5 homes, I have them rate them by the nicknames on the home. And then I always ask, are you ready to submit an offer on number 1?
Love it. Are you ready to submit an offer on number 1? I love that. And going back to the buyer consultation, you guys are going to have to get used to this anyways, because July 1st is coming where you're going to have the agreement signed. So the buyer consultation is going to help you ask all the questions and then be an advisor, like Laura Cooper was saying. Okay, if we're going to go show homes, I want to advise you on what's happening with the market. In this market, this is a multiple market, a multiple offer market. We're seeing escalation clauses. Here's the thing. When you are advising your buyers to write offers, if you think they can go $5,000 or $10,000 or $15,000 over asking, right? That's where you need to know what their motivation is. And if you say, you know, if you're going to write it at this price, if you're going $10,000 under, I just want to let you know that another offer can come in, and that's going back with counter offers, if we even get a counter, could result in you losing this house. How would you feel if you lost this house? Right? How would you feel? I would be devastated. Okay, if you lost this house, then we need to come in strong. We need to write the offer based on you actually wanting the house. Okay, so let's go back to, I want to use this next 10 minutes for the listing agent. Okay, so those of you that have listings, what are you doing? What kind of conversations, pricing conversations are you having with your sellers right now? And if they do need to reduce the price or eventually reduce the price, what are your conversations? Because first, are your listings sitting longer, or are they flying off the shelf? Let's start with Laura Malec.
Our listings, when done correctly, are going very quickly. And how to get the seller to go very quickly is just, you know, showing the stats, the comps, and the numbers. And then I always say that it's a pricing strategy, because they're usually focused on, like, you know, that price point. Will I get more? Will I not? So I say it's a pricing strategy. I feel like they really like that verbiage. And then I use this is to say to get max exposure, because in reality, you want the most eyes on the property, even if like the person that's, you know, $50,000 less than that house, like they help drive up motivation. They help bring the low offers to help escalate the high offers. So when I say that, like, this is the price that's going to get us the most exposure. I find when you just like, it's people grow into the conversations you have around them. So really practice your comps and the way that you're speaking, and they'll understand you and they'll trust you, that they understand why I price it there, or why we together we decide that we would price it there. So I don't really feel like I get many objections because of the pre-work and the verbiage that I use. But I will say, if they want to, then I say, well, here's my concern if we price it at that point, you know, X, Y, Z. And if for some reason it was, you know, higher than what I would want to do, or I do feel like it's escalated, don't forget, it's still a choice whether you want to take that listing or not. But that's when I talk about the price reductions ahead of time. I would say, you know, this is your property. If this is something that you want to try, I still remind them first impressions matter. However, you know, your second chance is going to look at making a drastic price drop. So that's going to look at, you know, 5 or 10,000. Are you willing to do that after 7 days, 10 days, or 2 weeks on the market? I usually like to use that old NAR thing of 10 showings, or 2 weeks on the market. You need to make a price adjustment, and you can go as far as to have that addendum signed before you even list with them, just to make sure that they're not going to sit, you know, and not do a price drop. So I feel like it's your verbiage and your conversation and also listening to what they have to say. And then I think my lesson I learned years ago, that if you haven't learned this lesson, was really understanding the market and the data. I like to ask, what do you think your house would sell for? You know, like I kind of ask, like, hey, are you keeping on top of the market? Like, what do you think your house is worth? Just curious. And sometimes agents would be like, well, aren't you the expert? And I'm like, yes, but just ask. You want to know what their opinion is. So I asked. I did not ask on this listing appointment. So when I came and brought the data that was probably just okay, I was still in my fewer years, I'm showing them properties that were worth 400 and they thought their house was worth 475, closer to 500. We were way off. I did not get the listing. However, if you know that price going into it, I could have brought the data that showed the houses priced at that point, and I would have started there. I've been like, I know you said you thought, 475. I'm curious how you got there. Here's these properties that have blah, blah, blah. Like I let the data show more square footage, the pictures, things, and then talk them down to that lower price point. So I think to be the most educated is asking where they think their house is valued at, and then bringing in that data and then using your verbiage strategically.
I love it. And that's the prequel, right? With the listing.
Yes.
Where would you like to list your house? Do you have an idea of the price that you want to list your house at? And then
I'll never not ask that now.
I can see being in that position. That probably was awkward. I love it. All right, Laura Cooper.
So I do a lot of the same, but I also, whenever I initially go to send them comps, I do not recommend a price with those comps. So I use Cloud CMA, which I think a lot of people probably have that tool through their MLS. And I send them the listings. It's a really nice user interface too, and they can click through all the pictures of the sold listings. Really, it's just nice and easy, and it compares the properties vertically side by side. And they'll inevitably say, well, I don't see your recommended list price. And I'm like, well, no, I want you to look through these listings, and I want you to think as you look through each one, how does my house compare? And I get them to start thinking about the listings comparatively speaking for themselves. So it's the same thing as Laura said, like they end up answering the question themselves. Because most sellers are pretty reasonable about that concept. But if you just come at them and talk price and don't show them listings, they are always wanting more than what their house is probably worth in the market. And then I think as far as getting people to lower their price, it is, I had the conversation last night with a client, and I was only asking him to do a very small price decrease just to get more eyes on the listing. So I always say, we've got to get online traffic first, because online traffic brings in-person traffic. And how do we get online traffic? We have excellent pictures, and accurate and complete listing, but price is the number one factor. And I always turn it back on them. What is the first thing that you look at whenever you log on to a real estate app to search for homes? What is the first factor that you tweak? Price. It's price or location. Well, we can't change the location of your house in the MLS. It is what it is. What is the other big thing we can change? Price. So he asked me, well, I don't understand. Why would I lower my price? Well, $1,500, that's stupid. If they're going to offer me anywhere close to list, that's not going to make any difference. I'm like, well, don't you pay attention when you see listings pop up every day when you log on to look at houses that have had a price decrease? They show up in your feed. And he was like, oh, okay, never thought about that. That's easy. But mostly preparation is key. So if you know in your market you're slowing down, you need to start setting the expectation now. With days on market, I tell everyone it is going to take us at least 2 months to get an offer right now. If we get one before that, you're beating the market. And I do kind of pose it that way, because then they feel a little bit competitive. Like, we need to do better than this slow market, because then that gets them wanting to beat something, and people are naturally competitive, and just say, okay, then you need to be prepared to do price decreases if we don't see the traffic. And so I think always with sellers, it's expectation setting up front. And I do sometimes pre-write listing amendments with price reductions. It can be kind of tough in this market. I don't feel like our sellers have settled into the new market yet. I personally think that even though it feels like COVID was a long time ago, it also doesn't feel like very long ago for these people. And I'm still struggling with people adjusting to this new slower market. It's kind of crazy. So you just really need to be prepared to overcome those objections and set expectations.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Gisela, you're the last one. Gisela, what are you doing with your buyers or your sellers?
With my sellers, I think again, it comes down to preparation, having at that listing appointment, having honest conversations with them about what our market looks like and what their competition looks like. I even sometimes offer to take my sellers to go view their competition as showings so that they can see what they're up against and they understand, you know, what their price should be at because of what the competition looks like.
That's a good one because then they usually will go, wow, my house isn't as nice as this, or my upgrades aren't as great as this, and their backyard's bigger, and you let them kind of self-discover. Okay, you guys, was this helpful for you guys? You guys just make sure you're staying on top of your market. Like they said, like the markets are changing. You might be, you know, in an escalation market one day, and then the next day you're not, right? So it is be nice to the agents on the other side. Make sure you have really good communication. Show, not tell. Be the advisor, be the consultant, be in control, and make sure that you're only showing to people that are pre-approved and motivated. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.